What's going on, everybody? It's the Hook Cam back again with another quick opinion piece, I guess, on the number 3 overall pick, Trey Lance, going to the San Francisco 49ers. Such an interesting pick and really interesting, especially how it impacted the rest of the draft in that first round. For weeks, there has been speculation of, are the Niners going to take Mac Jones at 3, or they're going to take Trey Lance at 3? Maybe they shock some people, take Justin Fields at 3. Really interesting. I really thought that they were going to pick Mac Jones. I thought that Mac Jones fits exactly what they want to do in San Francisco, and that they were going to pick him, basically groom him behind Jimmy G, and then let the horses run with that kid in a year or two. However, they flip the script. They take Trey Lance from North Dakota. I have some feelings on this. I am not sure how I feel about this pick quite yet. Before I dive into all that, quick plug for myself and the boys as we go live every Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Pacific time on my channel, The Hook Cam. If you haven't already, if you could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, it would mean the absolute world to me. I am pumping out this draft content right now. I'm hitting my stride. I'm feeling good, walking tall, and here we go with a little Trey Lance. Also, subscribe to Jackson Kruger Sports if you haven't already. Hopefully this video finds its way over there. Now, I have some minor discrepancies with this pick. I am worried about the amount of experience that Trey Lance has at North Dakota. Now, I am not saying that he is going to be a bad pick. Not by any means. I think that he could have an outstanding pro career. I think that he's a very unique mix of really a dual threat quarterback. Because when you watch his North Dakota film, his coaches ran the hell out of him at North Dakota. Ran the hell out of him. I mean, he was running the rock more often than not. He had 169 attempts over his sophomore season, his redshirt sophomore season. And I'm going to get into his age and stuff like that in a second. But his stats over his sophomore season: 169 attempts, 1,100 yards, 14 touchdowns, 6.5 yards per carry. Now, when we look at the film for him, his coaches basically treated him as another running back. Not saying that he can't throw the football, but they didn't view him as like, oh, he's a Q, let's not know. Like, they were running the football with Trey Lance, and he can do it. I mean, you look at a lot of what they do, right? They run a lot of that read zone stuff. They'll also do a little bit of that power option. They'll do counter option. They run a tremendous amount of things with Trey Lance, right? This Q draw, great call right here on 3rd and long. I see stuff like this happening with him when he goes and when he starts playing for the 49ers. Now, he does throw. I do have some worries with him throwing the football. A lot of the stuff that I see in game, he does make some really good decisions, like this ball right here over the middle. That's a great ball, right? Stepping up into the pocket, avoiding that pressure, keeping 2 hands on the football when you're moving. Stuff like that I think is good. However, the worry that I have with him comes with his experience, really overall in college and with who he's played. Now, before I get into that, I do want to talk about a couple more things that I could see the 49ers doing with him. It took me about 5 seconds to find a clip that I could see the 49ers using him with. And what I imagine here, right, is they're just going to be running wide zone up front with the 49ers. I just see them read optioning the back end on this thing, the end man on the line of scrimmage, and then Trey Lance working off of it. They also run their power option, right? They could absolutely annihilate cats with this power option if they wanted to run it. For example, if they're working down here, these 2 cats working there, working down, we're pulling around for him. They read him, right? Almost a little Baltimore Ravens-ish, not the exact same, because Lamar is another level when it comes to open field elusiveness. But you work this dude right here on that jet sweep, on that sweep motion, and then Trey Lance with the 2 hop as he reads this end man, and then he's going to insert right there. Very, very similar to a lot of the stuff that the Ravens do. It's just a way to incorporate that option game into your gap scheme. And that's what I really imagine happened with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch when they saw this guy. Kyle Shanahan is an outstanding play caller. He schemes the running game just like generationally well. Like he's very, very talented with that. And I think that when he looked at Mac Jones, I would imagine that he looked at that and said, that's like kind of like a carbon copy of Jimmy G. We already have that. Why would we go and draft that? Which I understand. There's some strengths and some weaknesses to that argument. However, I think that he looked at a cat like Trey Lance and said, that's a dude I can get creative with. That's a dude who's going to be explosive. That's a kid who I think can play good football for us. Not that Mac Jones couldn't, but there's just a little bit more that you can do. And it's honestly, it's not a little bit more. You add add another guy to your backfield who can carry the football and carry it well and carry it efficiently, and he has the experience of doing so. That's kind of my argument for why I like the pick for the San Francisco 49ers. Here is my argument for why it worries me. Trey Lance has only played 18 games in college football. 18 games. He played 2 as a freshman, played 16 as a sophomore, opted out last season. He's played 18 games of college football at North Dakota State. Now, high-level football, absolutely. But is it the tops of Division I? Is he playing in the SEC or the Big Ten or the Pac-12? He's not. And that's what worries me about this, is that the experience isn't there. And from what we've seen with quarterbacks who are successful in the NFL right now, they have the experience playing against that high-level talent. We look at a guy like Carson Wentz, for example. He had one great year with a phenomenal offensive coordinator, kind of has tailed off since then. Now, he's reunited with that offensive coordinator, and we'll see what happens. But that's kind of my worry with this, is that these successful quarterbacks in the NFL that we're seeing, they're usually playing that top-tier talent week in and week out in college. They're prepared for the big time fame and fortune and the media, everything that comes along with the media, and being a presence for that team, being the face of a franchise, carrying the load of that franchise on your shoulders. Like, they understand that. I don't know if Trey Lance is going to understand that quite yet. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't do it, and that's not what I'm saying. It's just my worry about this pick. I'm sure that this kid's insanely talented. There's a reason he's the number 3 overall pick. That's just my worry with it. Now, at the same time, I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you that I was super excited to see what Kyle Shanahan is going to have dialed up with this kid in the running game, because there's a lot that they can do. But it needs to be known that he lacks experience. I'm sorry to say it. He really does. Like I said, his passing numbers, 287 career attempts. Yeah, 66% completion percentage, threw for 2,786 yards, 28 touchdowns, no picks, right? He's not making the mistakes. We're seeing good balls from him. Absolutely we are. And I'm not trying to take anything away from him in that sense. My worry is that he does not have the experience to translate super well to the NFL right now. And the reason why I think this kid's going to play right now is because you don't give up what the Niners gave up to move up to number 3 overall, to take a kid like this, to not start him. This kid is going to play football for the San Francisco 49ers this year. I would not be shocked to see them move Jimmy G within the next little bit and have Trey Lance be the starter. I just honestly wouldn't. And that worries me with him, because the experience is a big deal. It really is when you're coming into college. We've seen and Sam Darnold is the guy that I kind of use as an example, but there's much more than him. Just when I start doing a video, I kind of black out and think of one guy. Sam Darnold is the guy that I think of because he came into the NFL young, and we've seen it with a multitude of quarterbacks. Think about Johnny Manziel, came into the NFL young. Now, I'm not comparing these guys to him. I'm just saying that the age is basically the same. Obviously, completely different football players, completely different styles of play, all of that stuff. But their age is kind of the same. And with that age brings immaturity. Now, he's seen those guys before, and he's seen what doesn't work in the NFL. So you have to hope that he knows, hey, I'm the face of the 49ers right now. I got to be on my game 100% of the time, practice like I practice. Once I get into the media, I'm tight-lipped, all that stuff, right? You have to assume that he's going to be like that. And Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are the most professional you're going to get in the NFL. So I think that he's going to be coached up and dialed in on stuff like that. Like I said, I think this kid's going to be good, especially in Shanahan's system. My only worry is the experience that he brings to the table. Because when you look at it, he's played 18 games, and it's not like he's played 18 games where he's playing against the SEC talent or the Big Ten talent. He's played 18 games playing at North Dakota State, playing against teams like UC Davis, playing against teams like South Dakota State, like Montana State. Not that those guys don't have good talent, because they do, but it's just different as opposed to going up against SEC corners and SEC linebackers all day long. It just is. That's my fear with it. I still think Trey Lance could be a good pick for the 49ers. It does worry me a little bit. Like I say, and like I always say, I have nothing personal against this. I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he's an absolute stud. It's going to be so much fun to watch what Kyle Shanahan can do, incorporating him into their running game, into his gap scheme, into that read option stuff. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch. And I think that he's going to be good. I just have that fear of the experience, and I think it plays a factor. And I wouldn't be giving you guys 100% honest review view if I just sat up here and talked about how great this kid's going to be. I have some worries, 100%, and those are my worries about him. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to my channel, The Hook Cam, as well as to Jackson Kruger Sports. Also, check out the live show that's coming out. It's actually already been out for the last couple of weeks, but every Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, Mike, Eric, and I go live talking about just about everything, although this Tuesday is probably going to be heavy draft. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for you today. Hope you enjoyed. That's all I got. Hopefully we enjoyed day 2 of the draft, and I'll see you next time.